Hello again. I am Chris Porter, an ADHD coach, and today is day 23 of going live. Or if I don't go live, then I have to eat dog food. So, got this sitting on my desk. As is my ritual, I will put this up on the board to commemorate another day of getting this in the books. And then let's mark it down here. Ooh, that noise reminds me of high school. I don't know why, but it just does. Okay. Another day in the books of going live. So, why I'm doing this is because my buddy Mike challenged me to start putting out there what I'm doing, what I'm building for people that have ADHD. Because I have wanted to have something like this in my own life, and that's part of why I became a coach. And so yeah, I've been putting together resources, a Notion template for people, and also a group coaching program. But more than all of that, it's also that I love getting to talk to other people that have ADHD. I get to learn about the commonalities, like what life was like for you and for me, and like how they were similar. I feel about to sneeze. Okay, I think it went away. I'll let you know if it comes back. But also like the things that I've learned about myself, but then every time I talk to other people with ADHD, I learn more about their experiences, especially like for women and for girls, it looks different. And so that's been fascinating to learn about. And then, I don't know, just like growing up with it, I think I was diagnosed when I was 6 years old. But for some people that were diagnosed later, it's like they have to almost like reprocess all of these memories and all of these things that happen to them and go, oh, like that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. And I was watching another TED Talk today about a gal that it's something about like finding her gold. And she's a teacher in England, and she's now an ADHD coach. And it was just so cool to hear about her experience. And one of the quotes she was saying is that kids with ADHD are corrected 8 times more than those without. And so all the people around her were saying, like, why are you so hard on yourself? Why are you so hard on yourself? And she processed that and thought through, like, well, why am I so hard on myself? And then as she read that statistic and found out, like, oh, it's because of how I grew up, that I had so much like correction and just that was, you know, everyone around was constantly like saying how she needed to change what she was doing and just what yeah, how that was challenging for her. So and she said something that I thought was, I really like this phrase, that the ADHD brain is wired for interest, and that even the label of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a horrible name for ADHD because it's not a deficit of attention. It's that our brains are wired for interest. And so we hyperfocus in on something that we're interested in, and we lose track of time, you know, because of executive dysfunction. We, a whole bunch of other things that, as is the case for many of these live streams, I'm fairly tired. I have a newborn in the other room with my wife. But yeah, so just what does it mean that our brain is wired for interest? It means that I have to like almost talk myself into doing work or finding things that are interesting. I was on a call with my sister and my nephew the other day, and he was talking about how he was really being challenged by statistics and that it was really hard for him. And I was like, oh, well, here's a book that I found that was really great called The Lady Tasting Tea. And then I realized, like, well, why do I know about that book? And it's like, well, because I would always go to the library when I was in a class, taking a class that was really difficult for me, or that I couldn't figure out, like, how do I engage with this? Because this is not interesting at all. I would go to the library and I would check out a whole bunch of books around that topic. And then I would not, with the intention of, I just glanced down and I noticed that I did not click on the go live on Facebook. So I'm going to do that and then just catch them up to where we are right now. Okay. Hello, Facebook as well. I'm not going to go over everything that I just went over, but I will say that the topic for tonight is how our ADHD brains are wired for interest. So the story is that I was talking with my nephew about statistics, and that I found this book called The Lady Tasting Tea, and realized that statistics was hard for me. So I would go to the library and start checking out books, or try to find, how can I make this interesting? How can I be engaged in this topic? And so my brain needs context. I'm kind of like a global thinker. I need to have like a structure, or I need to have like a lattice to like kind of put the information in. And so I would go to the library and just check out a whole bunch of books on a subject without any intention of reading all of them, and would just study and like flip through the indexes to see what was interesting, and then would just go to that section and read into that, and then would allow myself to go down this hyperfocus of interest and just kind of learn about that subject. And I would find something that was interesting about it, and then that helped me, and it gave me context, and it helped me now study that topic, whether it was statistics or calculus or whatever. And so that strategy has served me well today, because now I just Google things constantly, and it's what I've done with ADHD. And I've got a Notion template that has over 40 links to different resources, books, podcasts, all those things. Happy to give that to you for free. Just shoot me a DM, let me know. But going back to the TED Talk by this gal, and I don't remember what it is. I'll post the link to it. But it was just really cool hearing her talk about that our brains are wired for interest. And I think, Dr. Barkley, not Charles Barkley, he talks about that the ADHD diagnosis is a good news diagnosis, because ADHD is one of the most treatable mental conditions, whether it's through meditation, through coaching, or through changes in diet and exercise. It is the most treatable thing that's out there once you know that you have it. And so, getting that diagnosis of having ADHD and that your brain is wired for interest, that's a good thing. Even though it can be frustrating that you've lived this life and maybe felt gaslit by people like, oh, just try harder, or why don't you just use to-do lists? If only use to-do lists, then you'd be able to get everything done like me. And the answer is no. That doesn't work for my brain. I literally cannot focus sometimes. And unless I use one of my hacks, or I go for a walk, or I set a timer. And the first time when I do a Pomodoro session, it's really hard that first session, and then it gets easier the rest of the day. Like body doubling is a great way to get over that hump and to be able to focus when you just cannot focus. There's apps like Groove that will do body doubling remotely using your phone with anybody else that's online at that moment. You can body double with up to 4 other people. So you don't have to do it in person. You can do it on Zoom. There's like focus sessions. There's Cave Day. There's a whole bunch of these systems that have come up to help people focus, especially after the pandemic. So, my brain's going lots of directions, like thinking about how I used to hate the way that my brain works. And now that knowing that it's just wired for interest, like that's okay. I just have to figure out a way to hack my interest in something that's really boring, or just minimize that task as much as possible. So that's also an option now that I'm adult. So, yeah, I think those are all the thoughts that I had for tonight. Sorry, Facebook, I didn't go live until about halfway through this. But you could always check Instagram or check YouTube to see the full talk of what I was sharing. But yeah, I'm really thankful for this opportunity to be on here, to be live streaming, and to be doing this. I know tonight I didn't feel like doing it. I was laying on the couch after a long day of caring for my daughter and trying to get work in. But I think it's important. It's important to share what you're doing. There's a book called Show Your Work. It talks about just getting work out there, getting stuff out there so that way you can improve. And so this is how I'm going to improve my public speaking, my ability to concisely communicate ideas, and also just get to know more people out there that have ADHD like you. So if you don't see me tomorrow, then dog food is on the menu. But I don't plan on that, so I will hopefully be going live tomorrow so I don't have to eat this dog food. And appreciate you joining with me in this journey. Have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers. Goodbye, Instagram, Facebook. You got the short end of the stick. Goodbye. And YouTube.